I'd forgotten what blathering fucking sheep human beings can be. It's been so long since the prolonged media-mongering shitshow of 2005, the fallout of which, for the record, was much more intense toward Michael Jackson than what we're currently experiencing, and thus I'd caution both MJ fans, disbelievers, and blog humping hacks alike to dial it the fuck down with the "Michael Jackson is finally done" articles, when, frankly, Michael Jackson ain't half as done as he was in 2005, and 3 years later, he was in full comeback mode. That said, it's a testament to the manipulative power of documentaries as a fucking format, however, that the dearth of evidence presented in Leaving Neverland, a documentary that documents absolutely nothing and features little apart from the same two accusers telling unconfirmable anecdotes for 4 fucking hours, in no way precluded even those who fancy themselves journalistic goddamn gumshoes from declaring that 4 hours of mood lighting, piano music, and goddamn drone shots can conceivably stand in for substantive fucking evidence.
Two things are true of Michael Jackson: immensely talented human being, evil pedophile, right? Those two things are true of Michael Jackson, at least if the allegations are to be believed, which all evidence suggests they should be.
Yeah, what immutable evidence would that be, Ben, that Gimme Safecuck's mother claims in the documentary you claim you goddamn watched that she, quote, danced when she heard of Michael's death in 2009?
I danced when I heard that he died. I was laying in bed. The news came on. I got out of bed and I was, oh, thank God he can't hurt any more children.
Despite her son stating in both a sworn court deposition and in the self-same stink piece he, quote, never realized he was abused until 2013.
So when you saw Wade on the Today Show, that triggered you to feel what?
I panicked. Like I was being caught, honestly.
Meaning both he and his mother are officially fucking time travelers? And hey, maybe there's something to that time traveler hypothesis, because Safechuck alleges his abuse intensified after a Grammy Award performance in 1989 in New York, despite the Grammys being held in Los Angeles that year, where Michael Jackson never once performed, by the by. All signs point to believe, do they, Benzo?
Having a really tough time overcoming the cognitive dissonance of, I like Michael Jackson's music and I was a big fan of his when I was 10, with Michael Jackson was an evil human being who preyed upon children.
How fucking old does this ass be? Anybody above the age of a zygote remembers the 2005 fucking funnel cloud of TV and print propaganda alleging everything from hidden rape dungeons to sophisticated pedophilia networks, all of which, fucking all of it, being presented in a court of law and all 14 counts of which he was fucking exonerated of. Ben, buddy, 4 of those counts were fucking misdemeanors. Time Warner, CNN, ABC, MSNBC, Oprah, BBC, sources you routinely discredit for self-evident bias. All of these sources were slavering at the prospect of at last lynching Michael Jackson for the crime of which he has since been cleared. How is it possible you're not aware that a judge in a criminal case approves court witnesses well in motherfucking advance? How could Michael Jackson beg Gimme Safecuck to cock-a-doodle-doo in court, let alone incur his righteous wrath for not fucking doing so, if, as Safechuck himself alleges in the documentary, the court case was already ongoing? That isn't how court cases work, kid. Didn't you go to school for this shit? More to the point there, paralegal eagle, why in world-rending fuck would he want 2 kids he kitty fuck to be witnesses in his trial, and thus subject to cross-examination, during which they could easily break the fuck down and goddamn incriminate him, particularly when defense lawyer Tom Mesereau has gone on record as stating if Wade didn't want to do it, someone else could have, and that the only reason they put Robson first was because after 6 years of estrangement, Robson himself had volunteered to tee up against the prosecution. As you should know, as a theoretical lawyer yourself, the first witness for the defense is generally subjected to full court fucking press from the prosecution's cross-examination, particularly when said witness is a young boy, now a man, in a sensationalist molestation trial whose very presence and testimony dismantles the motherfucking narrative. Why put Wade Robson there if he had been fucked when there were, according to Tom Mesereau, dozens of other witnesses who hadn't been allegedly fucking fiddled? Man alive, Michael must have been mighty comfortable in his goddamn grooming practices. Practices Wade Robson describes in his sworn deposition as, quote, a single fucking phone call. Yet said programming was evidently so profound, MJ was willing to risk being hauled off the kitty diddler prison by putting up one of the members of his preteen pooper posse on the witness stand.
A bunch of lessons to be learned here. Well, some of those lessons include, again, our capacity for cognitive dissonance blinding us to the reality.
Right? Like Big Ben's capacity to believe Wade Robson and James Safechuck lied every single time, except when they stood to gain $1.5 billion dollars in a lawsuit. Like believing Wade Robson's ludicrous assertion that, quote,
I want to be able to speak the truth as loud as I had to speak the lie for so long.
Despite the carefully fucking omitted fact that he filed his original lawsuit under seal to secure a silent payday. Whoops! Fart. In short, Leaving Neverland has nothing. Literally nothing. But anecdotes. Gang, that's the evidence. Dudes and their immediate families telling stories. Never mind that Wade Robson's on his 4th or 5th fucking version at this point. Never mind that Safechuck's on 3, closing in on 4. This is all the evidence the moving-going public requires to reverse course on Michael Jackson for time immemorial. Okay, maybe I should temper that description. On the literally 2 or 3 occasions where it does saunter into specifics, it emerges with mountains of inconsistencies. In one harrowing sequence, one director, Dan Reed, has since admitted was actually filmed in pickups, meaning after filming was formally concluded, James Safechuck miraculously located his childhood wedding ring.
And I say married because we had this mock wedding ceremony. And the ring is nice. It has a row of diamonds.
No inscription, no possible method of verifying it actually came from Michael Jackson. Just, hey, here's a ring I could have got from K Jewelers, Walmart, or a goddamn gumball machine. Please believe my ass. Made all the more suspicious by the fact he concedes beforehand that at the same ceremony, he and Michael reportedly filled out wedding vows.
We did this in his bedroom. And we, filled out some vows.
Which begs the fucking question. If you kept a kitty fucker's promise ring for 20 plus fucking years, why didn't you do the same for the vows? To call him Leaving Neverland deceptively edited borders on cartoonishly charitable. At one point, a clip is presented out of context, one I've been hit with repeatedly as evidence of child abuse, wherein Michael is asked what the best thing about Hawaii is, to which he appears to respond with the words, being with James Safechuck.
Why? What was my best thing?
My best thing about Hawaii? Being with you.
This is, in fact, clip from a mock interview Safechuck submitted into evidence in his case against the estate in 2013, which, as we all know, was thrown out faster than a W-2 form at Wesley Snipes' house. The problem? If you examine the available court documents, it's abundantly clear the clip's been filleted to fucking shit, as his full response is actually, quote, the best thing about being in Hawaii is spending time with Jimmy and Jimmy's family, and I can't wait to spend more time with them. Now, why would Dan Reed, a dehydrated scrotum with an English accent, make a convenient cut right before the fucking part about hanging with the entire family, I wonder? Whatever the reason, I'm certain it's nothing at all to do with the fact that it's featured in a segment where Safechuck alleges Michael kept him in isolation from his fucking family.
He's working on pushing you away from your parents, or pushing you away from everybody else, and it's just you and him.
The truth is, Dan Reed doesn't want the faintest fucking beginnings of scrutiny, not in his film or indeed in his ever-loving life. Because when Diamond Dan at last vacated the US media hug box Oprah painstakingly erected for his feckless ass and returned to gray old England, at long last, he was finally fucking pressed by, of all people, Piers Morgan.
Other than what they're saying, did you unearth any actual evidence?
You are.
Well, is it not true they're trying to
This isn't
sue?
about money. This isn't
Right.
what the Michael
So
Jackson...
they're not suing for money?
Well, they're suing for justice. And
Do they want money?
I don't know. You should ask them.
Well, you know the answer.
I ask you, how did it take this long for a reporter to dare to broach these basic questions? Folks, when the only journalist actually doing his job is Piers fucking Morgan, you know the profession is fucked beyond reckoning. Well, fuck bag, when facts are irrelevant, we truly do live in a kangaroo court society. A fuckmire of mass media manipulation long since divested of relevance, but as Leaving Neverland attests, still possessing unparalleled destructive influence. For an audience that unflinchingly accept the occasionally unsubstantiated and more often outright disproven allegations in a documentary that repeatedly argues how easy it is for a single individual to manipulate a single child, you sure as shit are quick to turn a blind eye to how easily mass media is playing your witless asses like a fucking viola. And considering said propagandist media tactics are the precise practices alternative media figures like Ben Shapiro or Tim Pool profess to eschew, that's a dangerous habit to indulge further, my friends. Namely, its director, Dan Reed. He was cruising along quite comfortably, provided it was only on American outlets, beholden as they butt fucking are to Oprah and her cowardly lion wig. It was a foregone conclusion he'd be frolicking through a fucking pillow fort in American interviews. And then he crossed the Atlantic. After being pressed by Piers Morgan, other outlets began to question the veracity of the documentary as well, with Michael's nephew, Taj Jackson, and even his brothers pointing out the self-same timeline discrepancies I itemized in the video you just watched. And wouldn't you know, just in time for the UK airing of the documentary, those segments simply vanished.
Felt like I would break. Like I couldn't be as strong as I needed to be.
We had dinner the night before at Neverland.
And then, poof, they were gone, such that the full running time of the UK version is actually dropped from the over 4-hour-long version here in America to just 3 hours and 35 minutes. What about Wade Robson claiming Michael Jackson gave him the Thriller jacket, even though it was actually kept by costume designer Demis Tompkins and auctioned off for $1.8 million to a random rich dude from Austin in 2011? Or James Safechuck claiming he was given Indiana Jones's bullwhip, even though there's only one bullwhip and it was donated to the Institute of Archaeology in London in 1990? Or Safechuck, again, claiming he honeymooned with Michael at Euro Disney in 1988, even though Euro Disney didn't even open until 1992. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs! Oprah better double pack that audience with sexual assault survivors next time. Maybe if she clenches real hard and glues her lassie wig down extra tight, it'll drown out the endless procession of basic timetable discrepancies with a wall of fucking feelings.
Feel triggered, feel me too. Feeling raped. See people with tears in the audience. My heart melted, crying. Feeling. How do you feel about that?
The segment near the end of the film, where Wade obliquely alludes to Michael Jackson having a possible alcohol problem, as Mike allegedly simply left the dinner table and the children all to their goddamn lonesome.
Those sort of larger red plastic cups, and he grabbed one of those and just filled one up to the brim, with white wine. And
Robson alleges it was this dinner that gave him the moral motivation to lie in court in 2005, under oath, despite a withering cross-examination by the prosecution. The problem? Dan Reed flagrantly edited the sequence to exclude the other people present. One of their names? Taj fucking Jackson, Michael's nephew. Oh, but Taj is simply defending his dead uncle, you say. Well, once again, Wade has run afoul of the gods of time, as the dinner in question took place after he'd fucking testified in 2005. Surprise!